What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back once again to the land of Zenobia, which is the setting of my novel series that I'm writing, and the one with which these videos are the chapter by chapter synopses for. Last month I talked about the sort of series prologue, the preface, being the Fool card. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 1, book 1, the Ace of Pentacles. I have also got my Weaver deck here, much cooler picture in my opinion than this one. It's essentially the same thing, but this whole design, I love it. I love it. Cool. So I'm going to quickly do well, I might as well explain to you the setting. Like I said, we are in the high fantasy land of Zenobia, which is a girl's name. Zenobia essentially means life of Zeus. It derives from the Greek name Xena, spelled with a Z, not an X. We're not talking about the warrior princess here, which means born of Zeus. Within the context of my series, it's just going to take that in a more vague sense as being sort of, the born of the gods, being the gods in most religions and most pantheons are the creator deities. Zenobia in this sense is going to be meaning sort of, the place of the gods. Because if we take the life of Zeus meaning, then essentially you could just be looking at Zeus's life himself, and his life would be wherever he's living. And so if our people are living there, they are living in the place of the gods. A little bit of a rough and far-fetched etymology, but there you are. Alright, now I do have my books. I have it opened to my Ace of Coins card page there. My other one is underneath. Both of these decks have been organized so that when you take a look at the top cards, it literally just reads like the first book. So obviously we're going to go through the coins first. And my other one obviously is the same. Coins in this are page 76 onwards. There we are. Okay, now the keywords for both of these do mention prosperity and abundance. So they're sort of the key themes of this first chapter, which, considering we've just come out of the preface or the prologue, depending on which word I decide to end up using, because they're essentially synonymous, it will it'll sort of have come from a place of new beginnings and manifestation, and we're now sort of started to see the prosperity and the abundance that has brought them, within the same context of how a story fits together, looking at the abundance and the prosperity that they currently have. And the coins do represent the element of earth and the physical realm. So it's the very, the very base of existence is our physical world. So it'll be looking at the physical place with which they exist, not only their body but their immediate environment, and the prosperity and the abundance that they have there. But at the same time, it is going to lead into a space where they're going to have to go on a journey and evolve more emotionally, more mentally, and more spiritually. So yes, really starting off at the base of everything. The setting of the entire series, despite being, Zenobia, the place of the gods, etc., as I've already explained, it's also based on predominantly Celtic mythology, like a lot of high fantasy is. When you think of things like Lord of the Rings, Tolkien himself was, I'm not sure if he was Irish, but he was definitely from the British Isles, Great Britain, UK, whichever specific part of that he was definitely from that part of the world. And so the regional mythology is sort of what he based it on. And so things like, if you want to look at the hobbits as being less rich leprechauns, go for it. Bilbo Baggins does end up with a big stash of gold in his hobbit hole. They live under the hills, which essentially makes them fairy mounds, which is where the Celtic Aoshi lived. The Aoshi are essentially just the race of fairies to the Celts. And then you've got things like your elves and your dwarves, and yeah, those also fit in that. The treebeard and the tree ants and the big counts that they have, and each one of them is a different species of tree, comes down to the druids and how they would sort of commune to the gods through trees. Dendrology was a big thing for them, less so astrology, although in modern day we do have a bit of both. And then things like our general Western depiction of dragons, giants being associated with stone, all these other elemental entities that exist, like the monster at out the front of the Mines of Moria could just be seen as a giant sea serpent, like the Loch Ness monster, for instance. So we are very much in one of those kinds of worlds. And so with that, and being that my own spirituality aligns with that ancient religion, the way that the tarot cards work into it as well is that each of the suits, which are coins, swords, cups, and wands or spears, or staves, if you want to look at it like that, do have a relevance within Celtic mythology. So the coins or the stones, because they represent earth, would be the stone of Fal, or the speaking stone, which is supposedly was the first sort of stone tablet that the god Ogma wrote the Olm script onto and gave it to humans so that they could write, which probably means that there are records from the predominantly oral Celtic people. We just either haven't found them, or when we did find them back in ancient times when Rome was invading, it just looked like a bunch of mad scribblings and they were destroyed. Could be another possibility. So there's the Stone of Fal, the Sword of Light, Cleave Solace, is also known as the Sword of Nuada, who was one of the princes of the Tuatha De Danann. Is with that he was able to finally slay the Fomorian Balor, with whom my major villain for this series is based upon. The cups would, in this case, be a cauldron, would be the cauldron of the Dagda. Essentially, anyone who drinks from it will leave satisfied, regardless of how much or how little they consume. No one ever left from it unsatisfied. I'm going to be conflating it with other things that, English crusaders are known for going after. And I'm going to be sort of bringing in a little bit of like Arthurian legend and like Robin Hood and that sort of stuff. Like those are going to be elements that have a little bit to do with it. So in that case, we're going to be looking here at something more like the Holy Grail or the Fountain of Youth as being part of that. And then our spear, our wand, our staff, whatever you want to call it, will end up being the Spear of Lu, which, when you throw it, always finds its target. It's essentially a handheld homing missile, which you could also see as being essentially the Celtic version of Thor and Mjolnir. As far as whenever he throws it, he can sort of, call it back to his hand, sort of thing, and it has magical powers, same as this does. So that's what we're in for. This first novel, we're looking specifically at the coins that are going specifically for the Stone of Fal. And as I mentioned to dragons before, the idea is going to be that within my story universe, the Stone of Fal actually contains an ancient inscription on how to, that sort of like, once you read it, allows you to speak, read, write, and just generally comprehend the ancient language of dragons, because the overall series arc is going to be trying to restore the ancient Dragon King to his throne in order to maintain the balance of the natural order of things, despite the human High King's wishes. So that's what we're up against. Cool. So in my Weaver Tarot book, we read as such. As with any ace, the Ace of Coins indicates a new beginning, this time in the material realm. This card carries raw potential of prosperity, though now is not the time to rest on your laurels. This is a wonderful opportunity, but it must be nurtured and seen through to the end. So while this is a great sign, and you should be excited about what is coming, you must continue to show up and do the work. If you've been waiting for permission to go after something, consider this a permission slip from the universe. Do not be surprised if everything comes together easily for you with this development. While you have to go after what you want, Spirit is co-creating with you and will provide answers when you need them. Be in the flow and try not to get caught up in your specific vision. Be open to many different outcomes and possibilities. And at the same time, it's reversed indicates a stall or doubts when it comes to moving forward. Generally, this card reversed means slow down, be thorough, and be sure before acting. It's best to start a project or process when you're feeling certain, so take it easy until you reach that place. Haste will only bring disappointment. And considering that we're just coming from the Fool card, that's going to mean we have to, that our character is going to sort of see that, like, rushing in unprepared's only going to end in disaster for them. And they'll sort of very early on learn a little lesson of patience. Optimistic Mondays. Actually, I don't need the book. I've got the app on this phone, and I actually had it open. So opportunities are abundantly available to you, especially in the material world. Manifestations are taking form in the financial realm, and you are planting the seeds for further growth. The earth is fertile, bringing forth fresh energy, new assets, and good fortune. You're rich, not just financially, but in your relationships, career, and family. You're holistically wealthy. Keep on sending the good vibes out there and have them come back to you. Ideas are brewing with potential possibilities for the future, and you're attracting resources for your new venture. Use common sense and practicality to expand your growth and make real-world impact. The universe is supporting you and on your expansion in the form of business and investments. Ask and you shall receive. And by the same token, pay close attention to your finances. You may need that extra cushion that you've been saving up for. Manifesting may feel a little harder with financial setbacks, but don't let that dismay you. This is just a sign to reevaluate your plan of what's working and what's not. Don't be afraid to ask for help from a financial advisor or do some digging with your own money research. Weigh the pros and cons before you commit to payments you may not be able to afford. You may be consumed with climbing up the ladder and obsessing over money at the expense of balancing the other areas in your life. Have a plan with financial goals you want to reach and create stability for yourself. It'll set the foundation for the future of your new venture, even if it is just an idea right now. So, sort of both getting the same idea there, that, you know, they're going to feel like they're going to sort of start out feeling like, you know, they're in a good place and life can't really get better, because it only ever seems to be going up. And then this opportunity for a new adventure is going to rear its head, and suddenly realizing that, well, actually, like, that is all my life's missing right now is a little bit of excitement. They're going to only be too eager to take it up, end up in a little bit of hot water, quickly learn some patience, and have to sort of reevaluate how prepared they are for this new adventure, which will then lead us into our second chapter. I do have a website here in front of me that has gives us things like its actions, like using emotional force, developing intuition, experiencing intimacy, proceeding with love. It gives us what its pairs mean with other aces, and then gives us at the bottom a full description of the card. It's the same website that I used in my last video for this book. So I'm going to leave it in the description down below if you would like to have a look at that. I haven't read any of it, so it'll be entirely new reading for you if it's something that you're interested in. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below, does this story so far sound like something you would be interested in reading? Because I know that, being that I'm in very early stages of development for this series, for this book, that I would love to have some people do some proofreading, maybe get a a chapter, a bit of a tease sort of thing of what's to come. So let me know if it's something you'd be interested in reading in the comments down below. I'll pick maybe one or two of you guys, depending on how many comments I get. And yeah, until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.